right up onto it, not a problem. And then once he knows how to get her to step up, again, you could put Daisy on the floor, get him to stick her to step up, and as soon as she's on that stick, get your husband to walk around the house with Daisy. So she starts to experience, movement and walking with him one-on-one time. You actually, when you walk with the bird, you're forcing that bird to trust you to a certain extent, because it's trusting that you are the branch and you're not going to drop it. So you're making Daisy trust him, and you're starting this brick by brick, building turning it around, that he becomes a positive person as opposed to just somebody to bully, whatever. And also, don't set yourself up to fail. Never try and get a bird off the top of a cage if they don't step up anyway. Get Daisy, hand her to your husband onto the stick. He can walk around, go to the windows, make, oh, look, Daisy, try and like a kid. Come on, candy, make her have a positive experience with him. That is training, and do that every single day for 5 minutes or however long you want to put it, and turn it around. He is, and he can then start taking her into the kitchen and hand feeding her, peanuts or apple or whatever her favorite thing. So you're making him a positive thing in her life, and not something that she can play this wonderful game with. If you start with a stick, you're empowering him, and you're making her realize that he's not going to participate in this sort of, Yeah, so I would do that, and let me know how you go on that. All righties. Anybody want me to go in a certain direction? Yes. Can you bear?
We have an African gray. We have an African gray. We have her in a very large cage. If I need to take her to the pet shop to get her wings clipped, or if we go on vacation and take her in a motorhome, we put her in a smaller cage. Well, I have trouble getting her out of her cage into the other one, and when I do, I can't get her back. The last time we took her away, I guess it was at least 6 or 8 hours before she would come out of the cage and go in her cage that we have at home. I can't force her to. She doesn't bite me, but when I try to get her to do that and I say step up, she actually puts her head down, her feathers go up, and I say, uh-oh, I'm going to get bit. So how can I get her to do that?
So she doesn't want to go into the smaller cage, right? Because she's associating the smaller cage with something that she doesn't want to go to a vet or whatever. We got both mics working. Yeah.
To get her wings clipped, or if we're going away, we can't take this big giant 6-foot cage.
No.
So I have to put her in something smaller. I mean, it's a large cage, but it's still smaller than her house.
Yeah, sure. Do you need a mic?
No, I don't think so. Get a strap. Go with a walking strap. Put around the neck. You walk it. No problem. Put the strap on inside the cage. You start with the first time.
You mean like a harness, a leash and a harness? Well, she doesn't bite me, but
Okay.
I don't know if she
Okay.
let me do that.
Let's follow this philosophy. We can't make any bird do what it does not want to do. And it's not a good thing to do, because we may do it once, but you know what? They're going to evade it like the bejeebers next time. We have got to be creative in finding the reason, give them a reason to do what we want them to do. Okay? And you have got to turn that cage that she's associating with something, either the size of it or it's something disrupting her everyday life, into something that's positive. Whenever you have a bird that does not want to go back into its cage at nighttime, whatever, you've got to give it a good reason to want to be in that cage and make it a positive thing. In other words, never put them back in anywhere without a treat, a food, something that's going to float their boat. And each bird is going to be different. You have got to find what it is that your bird enjoys enough that they're going to say, whoa. And you, as soon as you put them in, good. And you reward them. It's positive reinforcement. Okay? It's difficult getting a bird. It's not a carrier cage, is it? It's a larger one. What I would do is I would start putting her in there for 10 minutes at a time without you going away. Start tomorrow. Get the cage, situate by hers. Put all her favorite things in there. Everything you can think of. Start feeding her in there. Just put her in there, close the door, let her spend 10 minutes, bring her out. Before you do that, when you're going away on holiday. So you're desensitizing her to the fact that this is not a bad thing. Okay?
She is right next to a cockatiel.
Right, a cockatiel or cockatoo?
Cockatiel.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to have any problem. They communicate back and forth. I moved the cockatiel like 5 feet away from her and noticed that she was starting to pick. Very little, but she was starting to pick. So I quick put the cockatiel back. But it hasn't solved the problem. She's not doing it bad, but I can see that her feathers are messed up. What do I do?
Do you give her regular showers and things?
Yes.
Is she doing it at a particular time of day or just random?
No, just random. I'm finding little tiny down, that she's pulling out, but no major big feathers, no bald spots.
Have you provided her with chewable branches and towels and chewing things so she can still chew and replace that need to do this but with something else?
Yes. And
because once that habit, it's like people who smoke. It's not the smoking they miss, it's that thing in their hand that they miss. It's that,
right.
And the chewing thing, you can replace it to extent with something else that they can chew on.
All right, I'll add more, like wooden blocks and
and when I say wood, go back to the wild, go back to their natural environment. Don't provide them with this colorful food-dyed wood. We have had a hurricane. You might have known that we have had several of them here. And we have got an abundance of fruit trees that have come down and oak trees, a very safe wood. It smells fresh. It's live wood, okay? And it's got a bark that you can chew. So that sort of wood, not the processed wood, okay? And towels and mops, and make sure you a big thing that I do is I get commercial mops. I put them through a dishwasher, no detergent, no soap at all. Put it through a hot wash, and then hang that up. The big commercial like wigs, and you can tie all sorts of food and carrots or a piece of wood in and just make it a whole jungle of things to do. Especially for feather pickers, they can sort of preen down it, they can nestle into it. It's a comforting thing. The other thing I suggested in the first class is I use paperback books or yellow pages, and I drill holes through the seams, and I hang those up in cages, and they just tear away and gnaw like little rats on the paper. Paper bags, when they say, do you want plastic or paper, ma'am? I go with paper bags because I put all sorts of wood and toys and bells or a piece of apple or whatever, and I show the bird. I say, look, and I just show them what's going in it. Look, we used to do this with the primates at Animal Planet. Good, and I roll it all up. And this is what I do before I go out, if I'm going to work in the morning or something, and I roll it all up, and I shake it like this, here, and I put it in. All right, see you when I get in. And it gives them, they love paper, it gives them some stuff to amuse themselves while you're away. The cage doesn't seem to be so inbounding by them, and they don't want to play. They don't always want to play with bells and swings and whistles and things, these